But before all of that, we're very privileged to have with us Cate Trotter, founder and head of trends at Insider Trends. Hi, Cate. How are you? Cate is...
Reaching, isn't it?
It is. Cate, it's very good to have you here. You've a great wealth of experience down through the years in helping a range of different brands build world-leading retail ecosystems. You're going to try to answer probably the trickiest question of all in the world at this moment in time, which is what does the future hold for business and particularly for retail? So over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So let me just switch you into my slides. I may need you to shout out when you can see them. Can you see one big slide on the screen?
We can.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to join you today. I've got 20 minutes to give you a whistle-stop tour of what's going to happen next in retail, what you can do to take advantage of it, and also some quick wins that should move the needle on your sales and profits. So we can get stuck in. I should introduce myself a little bit more though first. So I'm the head of trends at Insider Trends. Everything my company does is about the future of retail. So we deliver research reports to some of the clients on the screen. We deliver innovation programs for others, and we also consult. I've heard that some of you are smaller businesses too, which is why we've put in the quick wins towards the end. But yeah, everything we do is about understanding what's coming next and, more importantly, taking advantage of it. So there are three things I want to talk to you about. The first one is where we are, what is going on at the moment. I thought it would be interesting to compare what's happening now with the last financial crisis in living memory. That, of course, is the global financial crisis of 2008. We can look back to some data from UBS where they observed in America, which is quite a good indicator for what's going on in the UK and Ireland as well. They observed that in just 1 year in 2008, 28,000 stores shut in America. That may pale in comparison to what UBS forecasts will happen next for us now. UBS is saying that over the next 5 years, around 20,000 stores are going to close each and every year. So when we look at that data by itself, it's no wonder that life is difficult for retailers at the moment. But this doesn't look at the whole story. We can actually compare this current forecast to one that was done last spring before anyone knew anything about the coronavirus. And that forecast is actually quite similar to the one that we have at the moment. That forecast said that over a slightly longer period, slightly fewer stores were going to shut. So the learning here is that actually this isn't all COVID's fault. There was a lot of change that the industry was going to have to face. A lot of that is actually due to new technologies and shifts in customer shopping behavior. So COVID isn't making life easy, but actually a lot of the changes that we're having to go through now, we would have had to go through anyway. So maybe that's a slightly positive spin on what's happening at this point. Another question is, how long is this going to last? Of course, we've been told by some people that a vaccine is going to be maybe 9 or 18 months away. Lots of smart people are saying that really we only go back to normal or the new normal when there is a vaccine. There's no other way of returning. But the question is, really, when are we going to get a vaccine? That 9 to 18 month forecast sadly was not given to us by scientists. I think that was given to us by politicians who wanted to make us feel optimistic about what's happening. The New York Times went off and spoke to some scientists about the normal timeline for it to get a vaccine. And they found out that under normal, i.e. non-pandemic, non-global crisis circumstances, actually, if we started today, 4 years from now, this vaccine would have finished preclinical trials. And after that point, it would need to go into actual trials with people, which would take another 4 years. Once they'd fully approved that, then specialist factories would need to be built before the vaccine itself would be manufactured. And then even if you were one of the first people to get that vaccine in your hands, actually the likelihood is you would have that by May 2036. So 16 years from where we are now. And this is to say that there even is a vaccine. Another very important point that this article made was that only or less than 10% of drugs that enter clinical trials are actually ever approved by the FDA. So sadly, we have to face the prospect that we may never get a vaccine for this. SARS happened almost 20 years ago, and we still don't have a vaccine for that. So we cannot hope that this is just going to go away next year. We have to adapt to the likelihood that this is going to be with us for quite a while longer. At the same time, we also have to bear in mind that there may well be a second wave. We may be going in and out of lockdown for a while too. These are just a couple of sound bites from various advisors to EU governments, where they're essentially saying that a case of a second wave is a case of when rather than if. So in summary, I was asked to give partly a forecast on what would happen next in business. And really all I can say is that only a fool would tell you categorically what's going to happen next. My strongest piece of advice is for businesses to prepare for anything, actually to map out a variety of scenarios and work out what you'll do in different situations. So you're caught on the front foot rather than the back one. Now, having said that, there are things that you can do differently to adapt to the situation that we are in. One part of this has to be e-commerce. Of course, e-commerce was growing at one of the fastest rates in retail even before COVID hit. So again, some numbers from America, even before COVID, we could see that e-commerce was more than 16% of sales. Actually, in the UK before COVID, it was over 19%. And as we all know, when COVID did hit, e-commerce sales went through the roof. In just 1 month in America, total e-commerce sales went up by almost 50%. So e-commerce has to be part of your strategy going forward, but it's not the only thing that you should think about. In fact, my strongest recommendation is that you build out a customer-friendly, very sophisticated omni-channel ecosystem. And what that means is that if lockdown lifts faster than we think, we can all go back into stores. But actually, if we have a second, a third wave, you can direct people back onto your website. So it's ready for anything. And actually, omni-channel strategies were what the most forward-thinking retailers were embracing even before the pandemic, but now it's even more relevant than ever. So think about omni-channel. It's great because it's flexible. It's also great because it actually boosts your e-commerce numbers too. This is some data from the UK looking at sales, online sales. Firstly, in terms of the sales uplift in just 1 month for online-only stores. They found that their sales went up by 8% on average in just 1 month. It's pretty good. But that pales in comparison to the numbers that the multi-channel or omni-channel stores registered. So again, looking at their e-commerce sales alone, they had 4.5 times the level of growth than the online-only stores did. I think this is because multi-channel, omni-channel brands are simply more visible than online-only ones. They're the ones that customers know, they recognize from walking around on the high street. So when they go online, they're more likely to seek out those stores. And also they offer a better experience as well. Customers are less worried about ordering when they know they can pick up or return to the store. It's just simply a better experience. So this really shows that an omni-channel approach can boost your online sales. At the same time, an omni-channel approach can drastically reduce the cost of fulfilling those orders. So these are some, quite frankly, amazing numbers from a Target investment call that we looked at. So Target, their CEO was saying that, of course, when they fulfill an online order from their main e-commerce warehouse, that's linked to, well, they consider that to be 100% of their traditional cost. But when they fulfill that exact same order simply from a store, so the experience of the customer is the same, but in that instance, Target's cost of fulfillment drops to just 60% of the previous amount. We can do even better than this, though. When Target invite customers to collect the item from the store, or they invite them to pay a little bit of money to have one of these shipped freelancers deliver the item perhaps in 90 minutes, then not only does the experience increase because the customer gets that item really quickly, actually the cost of fulfilling that order plummets. It goes from 100% to just 10% of the previous total. And also at the same time, we know that actually by offering a better experience, this keeps customers coming back. It boosts Target sales in the long term. They've seen their omni-channel customers spend more with their whole brand by almost 25%. So that's a significant increase in their online ordering and a reasonable increase in their offline ordering too. So yeah, by increasing your sales and by decreasing the cost of fulfillment, that the difference between the two is your new increased profit margin. So we don't need to feel so disappointed about everything that's ahead. There are ways to make this work for us. Now, I should say at this point, if I am recommending that maybe you add physical stores to your online e-commerce system, or the other way around, if you're a traditional business going online, this all sounds a little bit complicated. But actually, you don't need to worry too much. We've seen retailers do some phenomenal things during lockdown, during this huge change that we're going through. For instance, we saw Co-op in Norway. This is a grocery store who, before all of this happened, said that they really didn't think e-commerce was part of their future strategy. But as soon as COVID did hit, they were on the phone to different companies asking them, can you build some e-commerce for us? Actually, they got on the phone to one of the best companies in the industry, and 2 weeks later, they had not just fully functioning e-commerce, but e-commerce that enabled customers to collect their items from the store too. So you don't have to wait months. This can be done within weeks. If you need any help with this, I'm sure Ardmore can help, and also I can introduce you to people too. This is partly why we're called Insider Trends. Now, alongside this, once you've found that if you do build out your omni-channel ecosystem, you may find that there are easy ways to actually extend your customer base and also serve those customers better. We've seen a number of brands like Nordstrom, John Lewis and IKEA, first of all, invest in digital interactions and digital fulfillment. Once they've done that, it's very easy for them to support customers better through what we call micro retail spaces. These are spaces that don't hold a huge amount of stock. They just hold some items that customers have maybe ordered in to buy or try from the website. And the store doesn't need to be that big. It just needs to have a small-ish stockroom, a handful of knowledgeable, charming staff, maybe a giant screen to let them see what else is available online, and maybe a fitting room or two. That's about it. Because it needs so little stuff in it, it actually doesn't need a lot of space. It could, theoretically, be the size of this building that you see on the screen. Now, I will tell you that actually this building is not a live Target store. This is just some random outbuilding that an artist put the Target logo on. But it really captured my imagination. This is what, these are the types of spaces that I think retailers can open in the future if they look a little bit nicer. We've also seen that some of the winners during COVID are the brands who have stores within walking distance of their customers. So stores who have, or brands that have neighborhood stores, rather than brands who have all their stores in city centers. So anyway, so this approach can both extend and improve your ability to sell to customers. You've got, the digital, which is expanding the number of people you can sell to, and then this can actually double the profitability out of each one of them. We know from Nordstrom have said that when their customers visit their micro retail spaces, on average, these customers go on to spend 5 times more, and more importantly, that profitability per customer doubles. So imagine what this would do for your business. Not only if you could interact with more people, but get twice the amount of profit out of each one of them. Isn't so hard to do. Now, my last section is about a handful of quick wins, different things that you can implement within a month or so that should altogether really start moving the needle for your business. Now, the first one looks at actually how you view your store. Because, of course, stores simply cannot sell as much as they were before COVID. If we all have to stay 1 meter or 2 meters away from each other, that means that the maximum store capacity can only be 60 or 70% of what it was previously. And that means that smart retailers are not just thinking about using their stores for sales, they're also thinking about using them to acquire customers, to bring them closer, bring them further into their digital ecosystem. And it sounds a little bit random, but digital receipts are actually one of the best ways of doing this. So digital receipts have a very strong benefit for the customer in that if a customer has that receipt on their phone, they are never going to lose a receipt ever again. It gives them a lot of confidence. But at the same time, in order for them to get that receipt, they need to give you their email address. Once they've done that, it's really very easy for them to say, yeah, I'm also interested in other messages, other personalized offers that you've got for me. So Y Receipts is a company that we would recommend you work with if you want to put digital receipts into your business. But some Y Receipts customers have found that when they implement this system, their CRM database has grown by 900% in just 12 months. So you can use the store to connect with customers digitally and then get them buying more from you online. At the same time, you can also understand your customers better through this system. You can see when people are going and buying in the store, when they're going onto your site and buying, you can see what they buy at each point. And this means that you can know more about them, you can get better insights about what's going on. You can also personalize your messages better. More data means more ways to personalize, a more sophisticated marketing message that can be sent out to each individual customer. And the Boston Consulting Group have said that the brands who are offering good levels of personalization are growing 2 to 3 times faster than the companies who aren't at the moment. Now, our second quick win looks at posting stock inventory online. And this relates to the fact that when a customer considers coming to visit you, they're essentially investing more time than they would before. And they're also risking their health or potentially risking their health as well. So smart brands are reassuring customers, making it easier, giving them more compelling reasons to leave the house, simply by telling them that the products they want to buy are actually in stock before they leave the house. So Near Street is the company we'd recommend for this. Their system costs a few £100s. It will keep track of all the inventory in your store. And not only will it be posted live onto your website, it will also be posted onto Google search listings too. So you can really make customers feel a lot more comfortable about visiting you and encourage more repeat visits. Our third quick win is about dealing, or mainly looks at one of the top issues facing the fashion retail industry at the moment. That big issue is the fact that they have a lot of surplus stock. They bought a lot of items that they thought they could sell through the spring and the summer. And of course, they weren't totally able to do that. Now, some brands, of course, are just marking everything down. They're offering it to everyone. They're hoping they shift enough things. Smart brands are looking at the specific items they've got. They're looking at the specific customers in their database and their past purchases, and they're sending out personalized messages and offers to each one of those customers. So basically, better matching supply to demand. If you want to do this, we'd recommend Kick Dynamic. Some of their customers have seen that by personalizing the messages, their sales through the messages have gone up by 44%, and also the visits to their website, again, promoted through this system, have gone up by 4%. So that's not a remarkable number by itself, but when we put it alongside some of these other quick wins, you should quickly find that this will make a difference to your business. Now, we can also change our view on, or our current understanding of, what e-commerce is. Of course, we all think of e-commerce as being this dry, flat, silent, catalogue-based experience. But brands like John Lewis are winning big by realizing that actually they can connect with customers in much the same way as they were in store. Of course, John Lewis are having their video consultations and personal shopping sessions with customers. If you want to offer a similar system, Bambuser is a fantastic company that makes that really easy to do. But one solution that's lesser known, perhaps, is a widget, let's say, called Hero. The Hero widget joins up the online and in-store experience. So the easiest way to understand this is to imagine that you are a customer on the website, you're interested in a product, but there's a few questions that you want answered before you're ready to buy. At that point, you can open up a small chat window in the corner of your screen, but instead of talking to a little AI chatbot, actually it will connect you live to a real living, breathing human in the store who can either text you back or phone you or video chat with you. So essentially bringing that in-store experience to the online one. Now, this by itself may not sound mind-blowing, but what is more mind-blowing is the numbers behind this. So Hero have found that customers who use this actually convert 10 times as much as those who don't. They've found that these customers typically spend 63% more. They're 50% more likely to keep their purchases simply because they've got more information. So that will lower the retailer's operating costs and lower their need to handle returns. And beyond that, these customers are 3 times more likely to visit the store. I think this is simply because this is a better customer experience. By impressing customers, you're more likely to have them return to you, either online or in store. And our last quick win is something I'm sure you've all heard of, but you may not quite be aware of the benefits of this. These are payment by installment companies. We're very used to seeing businesses like Klarna and Afterpay offer these services when we go online. What some people don't know is that we can actually offer these services to customers in store too. So the beauty of this is that these services will pay you in full upfront at the time of the transaction. So you're not taking the risk, they take all the risk. And then they split the payment to, from the customer to them over 3 months, perhaps. And so Klarna in particular have seen that by making payment easier, by lowering the financial impact of buying something, they've actually increased their mobile conversion by up to 68%, or sorry, 64% for the brands who use this. They can increase their order values by 68%. And these brands are also seeing purchase frequency increase by up to 20%. So, of course, all of that compounds as well. And again, you can start feeling a bit more optimistic about the future. So that is really all I've got time for, I'm afraid. But just some final headline reminders of what we talked about, that no one knows what's going to happen next. So really the best thing to do is to set up this flexible, future-proof, omni-channel ecosystem. And the good news in this is that actually this is something that your business probably needed to do anyway. But now, of course, your team probably really feels the urgency for this, so you can actually get it done faster and better than you would have before. And also there's a load of businesses out there who can make this transition much easier for you. So if you need any more help with this, we'll circulate the slides, we'll circulate the names of the businesses that I've covered, but also Ardmore are experts in e-commerce. They will very happily help you. And if you need any other tips, I am here to help you too. You can see my contact details here. Just drop me a line. We all need to help each other at the moment. So I wish you the very best of luck, and maybe I'll talk to some of you soon. Thank you.
Cate, thank you very much. That was superb. Kate's going to be with us later for the question and answer session. And I'm sure there's a lot of what you've said, Cate, that will spark a lot of interest and maybe a few questions as well. So we've already heard about how after 3 months of stores being closed, and that lockdown has really transformed how consumers have behaved over that period.